Okay, so remember that they are changing my voice. This is part 3. Do you keep the greatest commandment? Do you keep the golden rule? Do you love God with all of your heart and soul and your being? God being the source of love and all the true principles of life, of true life? Do you do unto others as you would have them do unto you if you were a righteous person? Do you keep the commandments that come from monotheistic martial arts? And the reason why I say it this way has to do with the difference between going to church and going to school and going to some kind of average or mediocre event, which might be important to you, might you? But it really is not covering these things in a potent manner. When you read James, the book of James, you see that people aren't going far enough. The wages of sin is death. If you sin against other people past a certain point of it being understandable, and keep in mind, it's not understandable to not be willing to die, loving God with all of your heart, to not be willing to sacrifice your family, to be persecuted and have your family be persecuted for the sake of righteousness. That's not understandable. But having a moment of indiscretion where you find a married woman attractive or something, that is understandable to a certain extent. You must try to be pure. You must try to be holy. To be one with God requires being holy. So as we look at people who go to the church, the average churchgoer, right? They're on the broad path to destruction because they didn't scramble to purify themselves in the pure doctrine of a morally precise love. Whatever you've been taught about love is incorrect. Quite often, some of you are closer than others, but you don't truly understand it because you're not truly living it. And how I know is a topic for another video. In the Bible, it says that those who love God and Christ, they obey God's commandments. Whether you believe Christ is this idea or that idea, whether Christ is speaking to you and you don't want to admit that he's Christ, to love God and Christ is to keep the commandments. Don't rape, don't kill unfairly. No unjust killing. Don't worship false ideas. Don't live a lie. Don't disassociate and become one with the psychology of the world, but instead insist on living in reality. Insist that your government and your law enforcement and your military live in reality. Do unto them as you would have them do unto you. If you're a righteous person, how would you want to treat people? How would you want to be treated? Wisdom is gold that's stored in the spiritual realm, stored in heaven. Insight is silver that's stored in heaven. Because from the mouth of the righteous comes the fruit of wisdom. So it's creating wealth by applying righteousness in the only way it can be applied, which is with wisdom and insight and discernment. So do you keep the greatest commandment? Do you treat people fairly? Do you have ethics? Do you have morals? Do you have sound values? Other words I like to use like scruples historically, going back years. Do you maintain a moral life? Do you deny by your actions that the wages of sin is death? People like to say things like they don't believe that morality is true. Well, the evidence is extreme. You can see it in the way of people who are naturally moral, no gimmicks, no tricks, no technology. You can see it in their relationships, in the care that they put into things. You can see them move in a certain splendor and grace and glory. If they're not sabotaged, what have you, because we must always, always, always consider persecution and the effect that it has. Universal, pinpointed moral precision. Focused moral intensity. Thank you.